is Madeline Miller, the queen of mythology retellings. Obviously, whoever your favorite is your king or queen of mythology retellings. This is just meant to be fun. Hi, I'm Colleen Delaney. If you're new to this channel, we talk about books and writing. Today, we're going to talk about Madeline Miller's books, my personal queen of mythology retellings. Before we start, in the description, there'll be a link to my newsletter and a link to my newest release, Finding His Mate, which is a spicy paranormal romance novel. Now, before we get started on the books, let's first talk a little bit about Madeline Miller's background. Also, I really apologize. There's legit a neighborhood baseball game going on in my front yard during my work time. If you were going to pick someone to write a mythology retelling, Madeline Miller's background is impeccable. I wrote everything down here so I wouldn't forget it. She has a bachelor's and a master's in classics. She started learning Latin at age 11. She has an MFA from Yale in dramaturgy, which I had to look up, and dramatic criticism. So she's very well qualified to write these stories. And I say that as someone who's been a mythology kid my entire life and loved Greek mythology. She really knows her mythology. I've never read mythology in ancient Greek or Latin, and that will definitely give you a step up. Her debut was the Song of Achilles, which, oh my God, what a debut. It did take a while to take off, but when you really read that book and look at it, that was her debut novel. Holy moly. It basically made TikTok explode. I've personally had a very fun experience in my life that my roommate from college and dear friend is currently a classics professor, but she was a classics major when we lived together, and she double majored in classics and philosophy. And so in 2003-ish, I was getting to have is Achilles in love with Patroclus debate. And we wholeheartedly in 2003 agreed that Achilles and Patroclus were in love. They're not cousins. So I'm glad to see that a book like Song of Achilles has really been able to penetrate mainstream. And I'll say my classicist friend is decidedly not a romantic person at all. She would not do this to romanticize them. It is what her research tells her. If you're unfamiliar with Song of Achilles, it is narrated by Patroclus and is about his relationship with Achilles and the Trojan War. In the Iliad, which is the original text by Homer, we follow lots of different characters throughout the Trojan War, and Achilles and Patroclus are two of them. Achilles mostly, and it was really interesting to watch Achilles' life through Patroclus' eyes and how he grew up, how the two of them fell in love, and what ultimately happens once they are in Troy and fighting the war, which I'm not going to tell you just on the off chance that you haven't read it and are not familiar with the Iliad. But it will make you cry for a very long time. Song of Achilles did come out in 2011, and I don't think it really hit mainstream obsession until 2019. I was trying to remember. I know it was before 2020, but I think 2019 was the year that everyone got into it. If I'm wrong, please tell me in the comments. Because I had a lot of little kids in 2019. So my literature knowledge is very spotty from that time period. I never held up Song of Achilles. The entire time I was talking, it was sitting in my lap. There it is. That's the book. There's Song of Achilles. 7 years later, Cersei was released. I read Cersei in 2 days. And I'm going to be really honest, I finished this book and immediately put it in the top 5 of my favorite books of all time. And when I was writing out this video, because I do give myself an outline, I was trying to think about where it exactly hit in my top 5, and I think it might be my 4th favorite book of all time. My first favorite book is The Son of the Shadows by Juliet Marillier. My second favorite book is The Mists of Avalon by Marion Zimmer Bradley. My third favorite book is The Red Tent by Anita Dearmont, and I think Cersei is my 4th favorite book by Madeline Miller. And then my 5th favorite is The Dove Keepers by Alice Hoffman, just so you know what my solid 5 are. And also, if you like Cersei, I think you're going to like all those books because they're very similar. Here's a fun fact about me, which you might have been able to tell from that list, is I want to read a book in a historical setting before the year 1000 CE. I want there to be magic-ish or weird religion. I want there to be female main characters who are telling the story, and I want there to be some sort of feminist twist on it. That's my perfect book. And all 5 of those books have that in there. I'm going to sell you on Cersei in one line, I hope. I take writing classes every once in a while since I am a writer and I like to learn more about my craft. And I took one on prose, January of 2022. And we each had to bring in a paragraph, and I picked a paragraph from Cersei. And honestly, you could pick so many different paragraphs from Cersei because it is so gorgeous and so well written. This is the story of Cersei, who's basically like the first witch ever. And you follow her for thousands of years. And those, I think, are the most beautiful books because you really, really get to know the character. You follow her for so long. You follow her meeting Icarus and Daedalus. You follow her time with Medea, her time with Odysseus, and it's so lovely. I cried at the end, but not because the end is necessarily sad, because it's just like this beautiful story of a very, very long life. You should read Cersei. So next I have Galatia, which is a short story Madeline Miller wrote in 2013, and then it was republished in this hardcover, I don't know when, I think I wrote it down, 2022, which is when I bought it and read it in an hour. This is only going to take you like 30 to 45 minutes to read. It's very short. It's 50 pages, but the pages are tiny. As you can see, I don't have teeny tiny hands. I have like regular sized hands. And there's not that many words on a page. It's not going to give you the same emotional effect of Cersei or the Song of Achilles because it is so short, but you still get the amazing writing that Madeline Miller has to offer. So I still really recommend picking this up. So what does she have coming next? Madeline Miller announced that she is going to write a Persephone story, which I am very excited about. I know there are some mixed feelings because the story of Hades and Persephone is like a little bit, it's oversaturated the market a little bit, particularly in the romance genre, but I'm really excited to read it because I don't really like Hades Persephone romances with the exception of Lore Olympus, because that just feels so different from the myth. It doesn't feel at all like related to mythology. I think Madeline Miller is actually going to give us what happened, the myth. I don't think she's going to romanticize it at all. I think Hades is going to be a pretty bad character, and we're going to see Persephone the way the original myth has Persephone, which is a niece kidnapped by her uncle who rapes her. That's what it is. I have no idea when this is going to come out. She took 10 years to write the Song of Achilles, and then she didn't say exactly how long she took to write Cersei, but it came out 7 years after the Song of Achilles, so a while. So I don't think it's going to come out in the next year or so, but hopefully in a couple years, because she did release Cersei in 2018. So hopefully she's been working on the Persephone story for a while. I also did find out when I was researching this stuff that, I forget who, was it HBO Max? Someone bought Cersei to make it into a miniseries. Okay, I have so many mixed feelings on this. Do I want Cersei to be a miniseries? Yes. Do I want Madeline Miller to get all the money in the world for it? Yes. She wrote such an amazing story. The thing that I feel a little bit like about is, of my 5 favorite books I just said, The Mists of Avalon, The Red Tent, and The Dove Keepers all got miniseries. I actually think The Mists of Avalon did a pretty good job with their miniseries, but because they had to, I think it only could be like 3 hours, they weren't able to do the second half of the book, basically. So they changed everything, which kind of bothered me. But I thought the first hour of that was very good. There's also, The Mists of Avalon is a very problematic favorite book to have. If you Google the author, she's like a horrible person. My one caveat is I read this before any of this came out and before she died. So it's hard to make peace with the fact that something affected you and changed your life a lot, written by such a terrible person. The Red Tent also had a miniseries come out, which I'm happy it did because I actually saw the preview for it and then decided to read the book, fell in love with the book, watched the miniseries. It was good, not great. The Dove Keepers miniseries, I couldn't get through. I did not watch the entire thing. I watched like the first 30 minutes. I thought it was not well done at all, which was a bummer because that's a really, really good book. So because of that, I'm a little nervous about Cersei being made into a miniseries. I feel like my favorite books don't necessarily lend themselves well to miniseries because you have to sort of suspend belief for like some magical things. We'll see. We'll see if it has it might have an insane budget. Cersei definitely made so much money for publishers. I don't know, compared to these other books, I have no idea. I don't know. Makes me nervous. You know what I'll still do? Watch the entire thing. Okay, so in conclusion, Madeline Miller is my queen of mythology retelling. She might not be your queen of mythology retellings. That's fine. But for me, I think she is the best mythology reteller out there right now. She hits my wonderful sweet spot. She understands the myth. She writes characters you care about, and she's also a beautiful writer. She's also written a short story called Hercules' Bow, which I've been on the prowl for and can't find anywhere. So if you do know how to get that in my hand or on my Kindle, please put it in the comments and I'll be eternally grateful. Now, if you have a different king or queen ruler of mythology retellings, put it in the comments. I'm really curious to see who everyone's favorites are. I mean, I'd say my second place is Jennifer Saint. I really like hers a lot too. I think she's great. Thank you for watching this video. If you made it this far, throw in something that looks mythological in the comments to let me know. I don't know, like you could put a bow for Achilles, or you could put like the witchy sparkle for Cersei, a statue for Galatia, or you could put your zodiac sign. I'm a Taurus, so that always makes me think of mythology. No matter what you put, I hope right now you're in the middle of a good book, about to start reading a good book, or about to start writing a great book. I'll see you soon.